Hey everybody, what's going on? It's D Murph, and today I'm going to show you how to work on your rear air conditioning if it's giving you problems. So we'll be changing the resistor blower control module on the rear air conditioning, and there is a very expensive way to do it where you have to take out all your refrigerant and remove the whole assembly, and then there's this little workaround, I'll give you guys some tips about that where you go behind it and remove it, but you can't see it. It's a little bit difficult. So watch this video, get some tips, see what works best for you, and if you're going to do this yourself, be extremely careful. So here's the part that I'm going to use. This is what it looks like. You can get this. I got mine from Rock Auto for about 80 bucks. So it's the AC Delco AC Delco number is 15-72813, and GM is 88892976. So there you go, you can see the number, that's what I'm getting, and it's a resistor blower control module. So I've already removed the trim panels on my car. You can check that out in this other video that I will have at the end, and also linked at the description of how to remove that trim panel, and so that'll be a great video to check out, and it'll show you how to do this really easily. So the trouble I'm having is one day I was going to work, and then my air conditioning turned on in the rear, the motor, just going. And I moved the switches and nothing would turn it off. That air conditioning just kept going and going. I would turn the car off and it'd keep running. I was worried it would drain the battery. So I did a little research and I found out it's that resistor piece. Basically, that restricts the airflow and then changes the speeds whenever you change that little dial in the middle. But whenever it goes out, the electricity or the current goes through and the motor will run constantly. There's nothing restricting or resisting the electricity flow. So, big issue. I just pulled the fuse, so I turned it off. I'll show you guys a picture of what fuse that was. Now I'm able to get in there and replace the part. And a good way to test it is behind there's a little electrical cable on the resistor. You can unplug it. If the air conditioning turns off, that's a good sign that your resistor is broken. So without any further ado, let's get right to it. Remember, be extremely careful, and I'll show you why in a second. Alright guys, really quick, the tools you'll need for this job is the 1/4 ratchet. Then you can also use a 3/8 ratchet or a drill to remove some bolts, and this needs a 10mm socket for that. Then the two screws that go on the back of the resistor are actually T15s. Very fun to remove. These are a pain in the butt. Just be patient. So if you have a magnetic adapter for your 1/4, that'll work really good, and you can use one of these. I don't, so I actually had to go and buy a socket with a T15. Then a magnet pickup tool for the pit of no return, and you'll see that in the video. And then a little pry bar to pop the resistor out. Anything flat that can get underneath the surface that's kind of small will work well. The resistor's in there pretty stuck, and you need to pop it out after you get the screws on. So this is your rear air conditioning assembly. There's the motor, little vent ducts and whatnot, and the resistor is actually right back there. It's tucked away. So the first thing we need to do is remove these bolts, and there's two bolts under here. We need to get those out so we can take off this metal plate, and then we remove this bolt and that bolt right there, and that'll give you a little more clearance to get behind the blower motor. Something to note is back here, as you can see, there's like a little place or crevice. That's where your stuff falls and you never get it back from. So you have to be extremely careful when working on this, so that you don't drop anything down there. Use all the magnet tools you can get a hold of, and be really careful. Alright guys, so we're going to remove these nuts and bolts. First I'll do the bottom ones under here. There you go, this one's right here. Then one more over here. And then one on the top right here. Pull that out. And one more here. So total of 4. Now you can remove the bracket. Bracket's out of the way, and you can access the air conditioning area. Then there's two more, one right there and one right here. We're going to remove these, and that'll give it a little bit of play so we can get behind and go after the screws that hold the resistor in place. Alright, so now we got all the screws out. And be careful when you're moving this thing because, and it doesn't move a whole lot, but all your air conditioning refrigerant lines run through here. You don't want to really jerk it too much and bend those, release your refrigerant and whatnot. So the resistor is going to be right through here and then down in the back. It's behind this piece. It's directly on the other side. I used my phone. I held it in here and took some pictures and took some videos to figure out exactly where it is. But what you need to know is the resistor goes like that on the back, right? And so there's inside, there's 2 screws. And it looks like they're T15s. I thought they were sockets. It looks like they're T15s from what I've seen. So I'm going to get behind there and remove those. Also, all these bolts are 10mm. Okay, so the tools I'm going to use to get back there, first is this 1/4 bit. It's a T15. I'm going to use that to loosen the screws, not to remove them, with my 1/4 ratchet. And if you have something that you can attach to your 1/4 ratchet with a magnet on the end, they make those. That'll work perfect. You don't have to do this weird thing that I'm doing. But I don't have that part. I'm going to be ordering it soon. Okay, so before I go in there and loosen the screws and pull it out, here are a few pictures of what it looks like behind there that I got on my phone. A good tip is first you take this in there to find out where you need to put it. Alright guys, great success. So we got the 2 screws out, and as you can see these are like little T15s, tiny, 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 and it looks like there's a little rust and condensation, so it makes it really hard to get them out. They don't really want to move much. Tips for this job, what I did. You have to be extremely patient. It took me probably 45 minutes to get these out. No, it's a long time, but the more patient, the more concentrated I got, the easier it got. I used this, like I said, this ratchet and this, and that's all I could use. I didn't have enough space for my magnet piece, and so I loosened it really well. And once it was loosened, because it's a little stubborn at first, but once it was loosened, I just went in with my hands and turned. Now you need magnet pickup tool, any kind, but a bendy kind. Definitely a bendy kind. Straight kind won't work very well back there with how tight it is. But I dropped my ratchet, I dropped sockets, I've dropped so many things. I just went in there and picked it right out, and I think it can even get the screws if they fall. So we're gonna install now, and also propped up, I'll show you really quick. I also propped up the air conditioning so I didn't have to keep pushing on it when I was working. And what I used was this this drain for the kitchen sink. Worked well. But you want something to hold this back so you don't have to constantly hold it while you're working. Alright, so next we are going to remove this piece. And it looks like it'll just wiggle out. See, there's no clips or anything. So I need to pry it out. It's a little loose, but I'm going to use one of my pry tools to get it going. So there's not much room, you got to use like a little pry tool or something like that to loosen it up. Alright, so this little pry tool worked, did the trick. On the old part, I just got underneath and pushed to pop it out. It's in there, it doesn't want to come out. And I left the cable attached so it didn't fall, and I didn't have to get it out of the pit of despair. So I can feel it, it's loose. There we go, there's the old guy. Pain in the butt. So for whenever it's attached to the cable, you can remove the cable before removing the bolts. That might be a little bit easier, but there's just something that you push down on the top grab it on the sides, and just shove down as hard as possible. It goes all the way around. Yeah, so it's out. Yay! So I'm just going to put this new one in, attach the cable, and try to use some kind of magnet tool to get those, get these bolts started, and then voila, we'll save some money. And as you can see on this, it's pretty nasty in the back, so that might have actually been what caused it to go out. A little tip for the screws, just put some oil on those threads before you put them back in. That'll make things a lot easier. I use WD-40. Another tip, long sleeves. Definitely long sleeves whenever you're reaching in there to get out the resistor. Okay guys, now before I do any more work, I'm going to test it and make sure everything works well. I have the cable plugged in, it's put back in against the air conditioning piece, just isn't bolted in there. So right here, this is the fuse that we need to pull. That's fuse 13, and it's a 30A rear RR HVAC. And so I have my little spear right here, and that goes in right here. So in the past, the AC would just turn on, so we'll see what happens. Okay, so that fuse is in, the circuit's complete, and the AC isn't making any noise. That's a good sign. So the last thing to do to test this is just give the car power and see if I can get different speeds on the rear AC. So it has power. My rear AC is set to controls in the rear, so we'll test this out. Okay, I'm hearing something. It's turned on back there. I hope you guys can hear that too. Guys, it worked! And it's probably gonna take another hour to get those two bolts back in. Just be patient. You know, take it easy. Have your magnet tool, and this won't be too bad, and you'll save a ton of money. That blower is on for the first time in a long time. I'm so excited. And off. Well guys, I hope you liked that video. Please subscribe, comment, all that sort of stuff. I love to talk with you. Help me grow my channel, and we'll have more Trailblazer / car videos. And of course, if you have any questions, I love to talk with you and help you through the repair process. This job is a pain in the butt. The workaround will save you a lot of money and a lot of work, but you have to be extremely patient. Thanks again. I really appreciate your support, and remember to subscribe. All right, guys, good luck, be patient, and I'll see you in the next video.